All right, I get to talk about my hometown again. Now, I just found this story in the middle of this show, so I am going to be going over it and learning about it for the first time with all of you, so please keep that in mind. There are two major newspapers in Las Vegas, Nevada, my hometown. One is the Las Vegas Review-Journal. That is the more Republican, right-leaning newspaper. Then there is the Las Vegas Sun. The Las Vegas Sun is a rabid left-wing newspaper. It actually went out of business, and there was a court order that required the Las Vegas Review-Journal to buy the Las Vegas Sun and publish it. It's the whole thing I don't need to get into right now, but that is a real thing that happened. A newspaper went out of business, and the other newspaper was required to buy them and publish them. So anyway, so the Las Vegas Sun, this is in Breitbart, the Las Vegas Sun, the liberal paper in Las Vegas, published a radical anti-gun Joe Biden interview a year after it took place. Boy, I'll tell you what, I said that we're going to have a lot of the old issues that we dealt with Obama coming up now with Biden. You have a lot of the same people, you've got the same media, you got the same tactics, and one of the hallmarks of the Obama era was how the media sat on and hid interviews that would have destroyed their political career until after it was too late. And they admitted it. In the case of Obama, they admitted they held on to those interviews instead of publishing them because it would have damaged him, right? So that's all you really need to know about the media. If they have anything on a Republican, it gets published without verification. They don't even go through the simplest verification process. They just publish it in an effort to destroy them. But if there is a real credible interview that is damaging to a Democrat, they just sit on it and wait. They don't bother publishing it for anybody. So on January 31st, 2021, the Las Vegas Sun published a radical anti-gun interview given by Joe Biden on January 11th of 2020. They held on to this thing for over a year. The Sun introduced the interview benignly by saying, as Biden begins his term, we felt the interview was worth publishing to give readers a better idea of where Biden will lead the country. Okay. As a member of the media, there isn't a single person in the media who sits on an interview like this, unless you're trying to control a narrative. You're trying to protect somebody. You don't do an interview. You don't do an interview with somebody as high profile as Joe Biden and then not tell anybody about it. It just doesn't happen, right? But that's exactly what happened. And of course, the reason for that is crystal clear. The interview covered a number of topics, including nuclear waste, FISA courts. Nuclear waste is a huge issue in Nevada because of Yucca Mountain. FISA courts, healthcare, and others. The discussion on guns and the Second Amendment was quite revealing. For example, Biden told the Sun that he had, quote, dealt with the folks in Silicon Valley. So there is, quote, the capacity now to build any weapon where it can only be fired with your biometric marker. Yeah, they're also notoriously unreliable. Now, one day that may very well change, and I'm okay with them continuing to develop the technology, but at the same time, not the most accurate thing in the world. Anybody out there with a biometric safe? Yeah. Anybody with a smartphone that uses biometrics to unlock? Exactly. Always have problems with it, right? He said it's interesting technology, but there's some real issues with it. And then, of course, you start running into some other issues like, your loved ones being able to protect the house when you're not home. Little things like that. Anyway, he discussed a scenario, buy a 3D printer. He discussed a scenario where Americans would pass a background check and purchase weapons which only the gun owner could pull. I immediately flashed back to was he 12 years old? Here, just a few months back, 12-year-old kid, home with his younger sibling, had to grab his dad's gun, had to shoot the bad guy when he came in, right? That wouldn't have happened. He did not mention that biometric readers have been marked by failure, that wet, bloody, or muddy fingers cannot unlock smart guns, just as wet, bloody, or muddy fingers cannot be read to unlock cell phones. Of course, we've gone over so-called smart guns and how dumb they are many times on this program, and other people have done it far more extensively and far more intelligently than I have. Biden also told The Sun that there's not rationale whatsoever to have more than 10 rounds in a magazine. Now, I was talking with a cop buddy of mine about this the other day. If you think there's no reason to have more than 10 rounds in your magazine, you automatically lose any and all legitimacy in discussing the issue of guns. Period. It's like saying a magazine is disposable and single use, and therefore you don't have to worry about it, which a politician actually said. It's one of my favorite all-time clips. Not the magazine clip, but the clip, which the magazine clip is another joke about what happened in that speech. Anyway, it's one of my all-time favorite anti-gun politician audio pieces because they were asked point blank, what are you going to do about all these 30-round magazines that are out there? Oh, they just get used and get thrown away. What? And then the clarification was, they were talking about clips, not magazines. It was just a simple slip of the tongue. He spoke of banning assault weapons and removing the law that protects gun manufacturers from frivolous lawsuits. But, again, you fake moralist Republicans out there, they're not coming for your guns. Right, okay, HR 127. We did a full breakdown of HR 127. Go look it up. It's on my Rumble at Casey the Host. He indicated, it's on my YouTube too, he indicated that he was absolutely sure the Democrats could pass more gun control, but stressed that they must do it by burying the controls in a larger bill. Ooh. We can get gun control done. We just got to hide it somewhere. So that way people don't notice it. He also suggested this approach would serve the purpose of giving Republicans cover as well, so they could cross the aisle and support Second Amendment restrictions. Yeah, all you got to... And look, here's the thing. I've told you this before. What they do is they bury this stuff in a bill that's considered political suicide for you to oppose. For example, military pay raises, violence against women, that sort of thing. We've gone over this many, many times in the past. The way that he did it last time is we included it in a larger bill that had really good things in it, like the Violence Against Women Act, community policing, etc. So the way you give cover to some of our Republican friends who are scared of the NRA, and this outfit owns the White House right now, is you put it in a larger bill. So Republicans say, look, I had to vote for it. Now, here's the thing about the NRA. The NRA is not politically powerful because of NRA lobbying. It is one of the biggest political lies in this country. The NRA doesn't give all that much money to politicians. That's just a fact. The NRA is powerful because there are massive quantities of Americans who are members. And those people who are members of the NRA don't like gun control by and large. And if you ask me, authentic Second Amendment advocates are not real fond of the NRA, to be honest with you. So you start running into some real issues. But he's basically admitting what I've been telling you for a long time. Now, he words it in a way that, this provides cover for our Republican allies. No, what it does is it's not cover, okay? It is a requirement. If you don't vote for this, we're going to destroy you as being opposed to protecting women against violence if you don't vote for this bill. And it's political suicide for a lot of people. Why did you vote against a bill that prevented violence against women? Well, because massive, huge gun control provision in the back of that thing. But you voted against a bill that protects women from violence. That's not why I voted against it, but you did vote against it. Yeah, that's where it ends up being a whole thing. Got campaign ads now, that sort of stuff. You voted against community policing. You voted against our military. Those are the crutches that are often used. They use kids a lot too, particularly health care for kids. They use that, so they'll hide really contentious legislation in those bills. And why do you hate babies? Why do you want babies to die? Why don't you want babies born with a cleft lip to get treatment? What is wrong with you? You must be some kind of a horrible savage. No, I was actually just voting against the gun registry in the back of that bill. No, but you voted against kids with cleft chins and cleft lips, and you should be ashamed of yourself. That's how it goes, right? So it's very interesting that they sat on this for an entire year. And only just now, feel like they should release this interview so you have an idea about how Biden will lead the country. But they didn't feel like it should be released before the election so you'd have an idea of how Biden would lead the country, you know, before you had a chance to vote for or against him. They did this with several interviews that were very damaging to Obama, and they have done it again with Joe Biden. But that's okay. You fake moralist Republicans out there. Nobody's coming for your guns. Nope, just giant conspiracy theory. Nobody's coming for them at all. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.